I'm feeling like a ballerina today. I spilled water on my microphone. I literally got this microphone yesterday. Why am I so clumsy? Anyway, today I'm back with another Notion video. It has been a hot minute since I recorded a Notion video, but I'm extremely excited because this is probably my favorite template that I've ever made and probably the one I've spent the most time on, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys. I have a video of how I used it, so I have like a vlog format of me starting the biggest digital declutter of my life. So if you want to see this page being used, then go watch that video. But in today's video, we're gonna go through it. I'm gonna tell you all about it. I'm gonna let you know how it works, maybe give you some inspiration if you want to create your own. If you don't want to create your own, the link will be in the description. But we're gonna go through everything today, and I'm gonna show you how to have the biggest digital declutter of your life, because I know exactly what it feels like to be overwhelmed by thousands of photos, hundreds of notes that you never look back at, and they're full of good ideas but you just forget that they're even there, hundreds of saved videos of like all the things that you wanted to incorporate into your life or try or research, and you just forget about it, and just kind of always feeling a little bit of overwhelm in the background. Like, it's not something that's always stressing me out actively, but it's always in the background. It's always like, one day I'll go through my notes, one day I'll organize that, and it's always in the back of the mind. And it got to a point where I was just sick of it. I was like, I need to have like the biggest digital declutter of my life, but I don't know how to organize that, or like how to track it. What do I even do? How do I make sure that it doesn't go back to how it was, like this very cluttered digital space? And I've been using my tech and social media for over a decade, which makes me feel really old. But it was my 9th YouTube birthday a couple of days ago, and that really made me realize that I've been online for a while. I have never gone through all the things that I own, and that made me realize that we do not go through our digital life often enough. Like, we do not declutter it often enough, because for example, our physical space, even unintentionally, we are constantly decluttering. Even if you're not doing that much, I'm sure that, I don't know, every couple of months, every year, you get some new clothes, and maybe you get rid of or give away some clothes that don't fit you anymore. But with our digital space, most people don't go through and declutter because it feels kind of weird. Like, how do you declutter a digital space? We spend so much time on our tech and we don't declutter it, and then we wonder why we feel so stressed out when we use our phones. That realization made me want to create this huge digital declutter page and just have the biggest digital declutter of my life. Because at the end of the day, it may not take up my physical space, but it's definitely taking up my mental space. So anyway, I started making this template for myself about a month ago, and it started off with a list of all the things I wanted to declutter, and it slowly turned into a list of 200 plus tasks that you could do to declutter. And I shared that on my stories, and I told you guys that I was going to be doing this huge digital declutter. I kind of wanted like a little bit of a fresh start. Like, I wanted to end the summer fresh. So I shared that with you guys that I was going to be doing that, and a lot of you guys were like, please make this into a template. So that's what we did today. That was a little bit of a long intro, but I wanted to let you guys know how important this page is to me, because it's not just like, hey, here's this cool page. I am using this myself every single day right now. It's one of my biggest personal goals for the summer to do this huge digital declutter. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of my vlogs. So I just wanted to have this video so you guys can properly see how to use this and what it actually includes. Okay, let's switch over to Notion so I can walk you through the page. Okay, so this is currently my own digital declutter page, updated with all the tasks that I'm currently working on. And the page kind of has 4 sections. So first of all, we have the little menu of the different features that you can get. So we have the Start Here page for when you're first getting the template and you need to set it up. We have the Pathways page, which are personalized guides to get you started on the declutter based on what you need. We have Actions, which is over 200 tasks of things you could do, each with a guide and instructions specifically for that task. Then we have the Progress page to see your progress in each app and how much things you decluttered in total. We have a Maintenance Plan page to make sure that your space doesn't get super cluttered again. And last page we have is the Template guide, which is a guide of every single page if you forget how to use it for some reason and you don't want to go back to watch this video. So for example, if I click on Maintenance Plan and you forget how to use this page, there's going to be a link here at the bottom where you can just click, and it's going to take you straight to the template guide where you can read all about the maintenance plan. And last but definitely not least, we have the resource channel and the community chat on Telegram. So the resource channel is where you will see tips and advice on decluttering. It's where you can get any of your questions answered on Notion. It's kind of like a frequently asked question thing, and you get access to this forever. I'm going to be regularly adding things on, so as I'm learning things myself, as we're sharing things with each other, I'm going to be sharing decluttering decluttering tips to get you motivated, and also like if you have literally any questions or you just want advice for how maybe I would tackle a certain task, you can ask me. And the community chat is going to be a group chat of people that have purchased the template where we can just talk about our wins, talk about our progress. Like it could be very casual, just like, hey guys, what are you guys decluttering today? Like I'm going through my August photos, but whatever. So that is it for the quick rundown of all the features. So coming back to the home page, like I said, there are 4 sections. The first one being the menu that we just went through. The second section we have of the home page is this table right here, which is the main overview that you need for your decluttering, because I don't want you to have to go into every single page every single time you need to update something. So all the most used features will be on this first table here in the different views. So we have 5 views. The current focus shows you the tasks that you're currently working on or the tasks that you're going to be doing next. So you can see in the status here, we have in progress, upcoming, and not started. So it's going to first only show you in progress and then upcoming and then not started. So for example, if I show this to in progress, it's going to automatically move up and it is not going to show you things that you have completed. So for example, if you have been working on this task and you completed it, if you change it to completed, it's going to disappear from this table. Here on the right, you can see specifically the app or the device that is being referred to. So for example, it could be sort and organize files computer. So you're sorting and organizing like the files on your computer. The next view that we have is the guides. So like I mentioned earlier, every single one of the 200 plus tasks has its own guide, instructions, tips. Obviously, it will be a different amount for every single one because for example, there are some tasks in here which are very self-explanatory. So for those, it's just going to be a short instruction. But for most of the tasks, we usually have questions like, what do I delete? What do I keep? To give an example, unfollow and mute accounts on Instagram, that is not very straightforward. Like, who do you unfollow? Who do you mute? Who do you keep following? If you're following thousands of people, this can get kind of confusing because, for example, maybe someone is giving really useful content, but you don't want to be seeing every second of their life. So the guide here is going to tell you different case scenarios for whether you should keep following a person, mute them, or unfollow them. And not only that, it also separates those into influencers and public figures and friends. So specifically, you can see for friends, who do I unfollow? Who do I mute? Who do I keep following? And for influencers and public figures, who do I follow? Who do I mute? Who do I unfollow? Because those 2 case scenarios are different. Because for example, the influencers and public figures guide might tell you that unfollow this person if they're a bad influence on you or whatever. Whereas close friends and family, we understand that sometimes it's kind of rude to unfollow like a distant family member just because they're a negative influence. You kind of just want to keep following them. You don't want to cause drama. So that's going to be a separate guide because if someone's a negative influence on you, but they're your family, I would understand that you may not want to unfollow them. So in that case scenario, they go into the mute accounts. So yeah, it is very specific and separated so that you have a clear guide on what to do. And like I said, this is for every single one of the 200 plus tasks. The next view that we have is my plan and progress. And this is just a quick little note that you can see to track the task. So for example, let's stay with the same tasks, unfollow and mute accounts. You may have 2 accounts on Instagram and you have to go through the following list of them both. So you can say, for example, went through the first account, but not the second. So this is just like a quick little note to just remind yourself either what your plan is or what your progress is. And you can write as much as you want here. So if you hold shift and then press enter, you can actually add as many lines as you want. So you can write out like full plans here and it just depends on what you want to keep. So as you can see, I did this for sort and declutter July photos. Whatever you want to write, this is your space. The next view is the status. This just gives you a very, very quick overview of what's upcoming, what's in progress, and you can just drag these things into the other column to change the status. And the last view that we have is editing the details of the tasks. So if you want to see all your progress metrics, then I would recommend to use this details view as much as you can, because the more you update the details, the more you're going to see the specifics of like how much you decluttered. Obviously, some tasks might not have a number attached to it, but most tasks do. Like for example, review friend list on Facebook, you can see how many friends you have on Facebook. There are a couple of tasks where maybe it's a little bit harder. For example, sort and organize files. If there's no direct way to count how many files you have and you don't want to go through every single file and count, that's completely fine. You don't have to. Seeing any numbers at all is already going to motivate you. So if there is a way to track the number, I would really recommend to do that. And we also have the start date and the end date to track how long it took you to do something. And I would also recommend to fill that out to get the most out of this template, because there's a couple of views here which are sorted by the end date or the start date. So if you can, fill this out, but if not, it's not going to make your template less useful. The next section we have on the home page is the pathways. We're going to go into the pathways in detail in a second, but this is just like a very quick overview of the 5 different pathways. So we have storage, de-stress, creative flow, social media, and productivity. You're going to understand more about this in a second, but this just lets you quickly go through the different pathways and schedule up your next tasks. So you can see that I have 5 tasks lined up as upcoming, but for example, if I want to decide what the next task is going to be, I can go into the pathway that I want to be following and I can choose a task and change it to upcoming so that it shows up on this page. So it's just very quick access to the pathways. And then on the right, we have a very quick overview of our progress within every single app. So I can see that I have gone through 61% of my TikTok tasks. And that is it for the overview of the homepage. I wanted to keep it pretty simple because at the end of the day, we're doing a declutter to not overwhelm ourselves. So if I made this page really overwhelming, it would not work. I mean, maybe it's overwhelming to some, but to me, this is like the simplest I could do. Okay, so now let's go into each page and I will quickly explain to you what that page does and how you can use it. So starting with the Start Here page, this is where you go when you first get the template for the first time and you need to set it up. Also, if you want to restart your declutter, so for example, maybe you were decluttering for a whole year and you have a lot of tasks in progress, but you just decided, look, I want to start again. I have a lot of things that I need to declutter. I didn't follow my maintenance plan. I want to restart. This is where you go back to. So I would recommend to not delete this page. Even if you already set it up, I would recommend to never delete this page because if you ever want to restart or you want to add another app, for example, this is where you go. So every single step is written out and put in this toggle list that you can quickly go through. It looks like it takes long to set up. It literally takes 3 minutes. The setup for this page is extremely simple. All you do is you select the apps and the devices that you use. So for example, there could be like 10 decluttering tasks for Snapchat specifically. If you don't use Snapchat, you don't want to see those decluttering tasks. So in total, there are over 200 tasks for decluttering, but this number is going to be less if you don't use a lot of apps, which I see as a good thing, to be honest. Like if you only use 3 of these social media apps and you use 1 messaging app, then you're going to have less decluttering tasks. 200 is the total number that I have for all of these apps, but obviously we don't use every single one. So it's actually better that you don't have 200. So first off, when you get the page, there's going to be some tasks that are in progress and upcoming because I wanted to show you how the page works and you can look around while some tasks are already in progress. But when you're ready to start your own decluttering journey, you go here into step 1 and you reset the page so that every single task is reset. And the reason I kept this here and didn't just give the page to you empty because I wanted to have this button at the top for if you want to repeat the digital declutter in the past. But technically it's designed to not have to be resetted because we have the maintenance plan to prevent the clutter from building up again. But yeah, you're going to go through every single step and you're going to choose the apps that you use. So for example, if I don't use Snapchat or TikTok, like I said, those tasks are not going to show up. So you're just going to go through everything. We have social media apps, messaging apps, browsers, music streaming apps, video streaming apps, cloud storage. So the reason I separated all of these is because instructions for how to declutter certain things are different for every single app. So you're going to be getting specific instructions for Hulu if you use Hulu. And if you use Disney Plus, you're going to get specific instructions for Disney Plus. So it is very specific to each app, which is why I wanted to separate them out. And that is literally it for the setup. Next, what I would recommend is to go to the pathways page. So it is the second page that we can see on here. So the way that I would describe pathways is personalized guides on how to tackle this whole declutter based on what you need the most in your life. So we have 5 different pathways. We have free up storage, de-stress, creative flow, social media cleanse, and productivity boost. I'm going to go through the 5 of these extremely quickly, but if you want to read more in detail, you can see that there's a whole description here and how to figure out if this path is for you and also some example tasks. So free up storage, very self-explanatory. If you have just full storage and there's not even a point to start with all the different decluttering tasks until you free up storage, this is where I would recommend for you to start. De-stress is for those people that are just super stressed out. They're behind on their messages, they're behind on their emails, and they feel like they want to start with the decluttering, but they're so overwhelmed by all these things that they just feel like they can't get into the fun decluttering tasks until they catch up. Next up is creative flow. This is the pathway that I'm currently following, and this is for those people that feel like they are currently consuming more than they are creating and they want to start creating. So it does doesn't have to be creating content, or like you don't have to be like a YouTuber or whatever. This can be in any way. If you have hundreds of notes of all these different ideas or things that you wrote down because you didn't want to forget them, and then you forget them because you have 100 notes and you don't check back on them, this is for you. Social media cleanse is for those people that just want a little social media detox. They want to go through the people they're following. They want to just kind of clean up their social media. Again, you do not have to be a social media content creator. This is for people that just use social media a lot. It's just a little cleanse of your social medias. And productivity boost is a little productivity boost. It's basically getting your systems more in order, so organizing your email better and creating systems. So if you feel like you're getting constantly distracted and your system is just not working for you, like your phone is always distracting you, your lock screen, your home screen is a mess, your notifications, like you get hundreds of notifications a day, this is what you would start with. So when you click into one of the pathways, you're gonna see all the tasks that are assigned for that pathway based on the apps that we chose earlier in the Start Here page. So we're gonna have the tasks remaining, so this does not include any of the tasks you have already completed. We have the tasks grouped by the different apps or devices, and also just a view of all the tasks. Like I said, you can see a quick view of this on the homepage, so you don't have to go into these pages every single time. But for the first time that you're setting up this page, I would recommend to go in there and read through everything, decide on what you want to do. And also important to note, you can switch up these pathways. So for example, I'm following the creative flow pathway right now, but there are some tasks that I'm also working on that may not be in that pathway, and that's completely fine. It is there as a guide. It's not there as like a one and only plan. Like you can only do one at a time. You can literally mix and match. You just kind of see what you need a little bit more of. So for example, maybe I finished a couple of creative flow tasks and I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling a little bit stressed out. I'm feeling a little bit behind. Let's schedule some de-stress tasks next. So you can completely mix and match them. It doesn't have to be, I have to do every single task on one pathway and only then I can move on to the next one. No. There's no correct order, there's no correct way. It's just a guide to tell you what to start with, because if you have 150 tasks or 200 tasks or 100 tasks based on how many apps you use, that's overwhelming. The pathway is going to prevent that from happening. The next page that we have is the actions page, and this is just an overview of all the different tasks and all the guides within those tasks. So I wouldn't go in here very often because you can already see the most important things on the homepage, but what I would come here for is to sometimes maybe update the details on here. I know that you can do that from the homepage, but in these views you can see every single task, so it's not just limited to your next upcoming tasks. So moving on to the next page, progress is where you can see all of your progress in each app, in the whole decluttering process that you're on, and also for every single task. So in the first view, you're gonna track your progress. This is just a view of every single task, so you can also see the progress of your completed tasks. So in the homepage, you can edit the little details, but you don't see the completed tasks. So here you can see every single task and you can change the little details if you need. You also can see how much you decluttered in every single task. So for example, if you want to see how many filters you deleted on Instagram, I can see automatically that I deleted 13. I deleted 929 pictures from September on my phone, and so on. It is all automatically calculated. The next view is completed actions, where you can just see the details of the actions that you have already completed. This next view is one of my favorites, and this is the progress of our apps/devices. So I can see my decluttering progress on TikTok, on my Photos app, on Instagram, on Google Photos. So those are the 4 areas that I have started with so far. I haven't started any of the other areas, but I can see the details for each one here. So your overall progress is overall out of all the tasks. It counts the tasks that are in progress. It counts the tasks that are complete. So I am 61% through decluttering my TikTok. Tasks completed, 55%. This shows exactly how many tasks you have completed. So this does not count tasks that are in progress. And then on the bottom, we can see exactly how many things we have decluttered on that app. So I have decluttered 717 items. So I was going through my saved videos and collections and saved sounds, and I was unfollowing people. And I'm not trying to call people items, but in this case scenario, it's just like in general, how many things you got rid of. And the last view is just going to show you the total items decluttered through every single app. So I feel like by the end of this digital declutter, I'm going to have over 100,000 items decluttered. decluttered because I am only like 1% through my whole declutter and I've already gotten rid of 2,114 things, which is insane. So this is where you can see that full progress. And our last big page is the maintenance plan. So like I said, there's no point doing this whole huge digital declutter if you're not going to maintain the clutter-free digital environment. If you delete all these things and they build up again, I mean, maybe you're okay with that, but for me, I don't want that. I want to get rid of these things and keep them clutter-free. So your maintenance plan is where you're going to schedule a date to go check up on whatever task that is. So in our first view, you're going to see an overview of your maintenance plan. So if you have not completed any tasks yet, or you have not set a date for when you're doing the maintenance, you're not going to see anything here. But this is for the tasks that are already completed and have a maintenance date scheduled. So it's showing you an order, and if you put a reminder on the date, it's going to show up in your inbox. So you're going to get a notification to check on that task and repeat it. And the thing is, once you do the big declutter, repeating it is going to be such a small task. So for example, cleaning up story highlights, this took me maybe 45 minutes. I went through every single highlight on my Instagram and I changed them around a little bit. I deleted a couple, I added a couple, and it took me 45 minutes the first time I did it, but I set a maintenance date for the end of next month where I'm going to go back and I'm going to check my story highlights and do it again. And realistically, that's going to take me maybe 5 to 10 minutes because in a month and a half, I don't think there's going to be much change that I want to make to my highlights, but it's going to make sure that it's maintained. The second view is where you're going to be able to edit the plan, so you can see the date that you finish that task, and you're going to have to set your own maintenance dates because I could give you a suggestion, but it's going to be very different for every single person. For someone who is not a content creator, cleaning up their story highlights is something that they might want to do once every 2 years, and that is completely fine. But for me, that's something I need to do maybe every 2 months, maybe even every month. So it's going to be up to you to set a date. And again, there's no rules. Like, just go with your personal gut feeling for how long you think you need for that task to be repeated again. And also I want to mention that all the tasks you see here are tasks that are already completed. So if you open this page and it's empty, it's probably because you just haven't completed a task yet. So once you complete a task, it's going to automatically go in this view and you're going to be able to set a maintenance date. Set a review date will only show you tasks that you haven't set a date for. So as you can see, this page is empty for me because all of my tasks have a maintenance date set. So for example, if I remove this date, it's going to show up here and it's going to remind me, hey, you haven't set a maintenance date for this task. Let's set it. And then our last view is the overdue view. This is also empty for me because nothing is overdue. But for example, if my maintenance date for a task was June 1st and June 1st has already passed, it's going to show up here because either I have completed it, but I didn't update the maintenance date and I have to update the maintenance date, or I just haven't completed it, which is fine. If you're past your overdue maintenance date, that is completely fine. Like, we're human. You're not going to be able to look into the future. Like, maybe on June 1st, I was super busy and I had no time to go through my highlights, and that's completely fine. But here, you're just going to set the next maintenance date. Oh, and one last thing I want to mention is that for any date that you set, make sure to remember to put the reminder on, because without the reminder, you're going to forget. Whereas with the reminder, you're going to get a notification and that way you will not forget. And then our last page, I'm going to go through this very quickly, but it's just a template guide. This just basically reminds you what every view does. And if you just forget what a certain view is for, but you don't want to go back to watch this video, you can quickly click there. And if you have any other questions at all, you go into either the resource channel or the community chat. All of your questions will be answered and you will have access to it forever. So those are two really big features that I think are very important to point out. And I just think it's really cool to have a community chat where we can just speak with people about their declutter process. Like, it's just motivating. We can exchange tips. And for example, if I haven't decluttered for a couple of days, it's really motivating to see someone else talking about their declutter wins, because it's going to motivate me to get back into my decluttering as well. And I think that is it. That is the ultimate digital declutter page. I am so extremely proud of this template. It is by far the best one I've made, and I've made so many, and a lot of you guys have used my templates and loved them, so I'm very excited to share it with you. Again, there's going to be a link in the description down below if you want to get this template. And also I have a vlog already out on my channel of me actually using this template. So I had like a little digital declutter day, a specific day where I scheduled out to have like a really big intense digital declutter day, and I vlogged that whole day and I used this page so you can see how I use it in real life. And also for those that are not interested in the template, I would still really recommend to do a digital declutter. It is honestly so refreshing. It feels like a weight coming off your shoulders because I don't think we realize how much mental space all of this takes. And I'm all about digital minimalism. Like, I just think once you start decluttering all your things and you feel what it feels like to have a decluttered digital life, you cannot go back. Like, you want to keep it clutter free. And I've had an experience of that because I've had some months in my photo albums which were super clear, and it was a whole different experience to actually look through my photos and find the pictures that I actually liked. And it was just a photo album. It was a real photo album. It didn't feel like a camera roll of millions of pictures. It was a photo album of my favorite moments. And the same with notes. I have gone through my notes before, and whenever I did declutter through my notes, it just felt so refreshing. I felt like I was on top of everything. And it's just like, if you go into every single app, every single device you use, I cannot imagine what that feels like. And it's currently something I'm working towards, so I would highly recommend for anyone out there. Anyway, I've been very chatty. I'm gonna see you guys next time. The digital declutter journey will continue. I'm gonna do more digital decluttering vlogs because honestly, I need them, and I think it's motivating for anyone else who's doing it. So you will see more of those in the future. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Peace out.